All right, ego versus soul. This is kind of an answer to a lot of problems that a lot of us are kind of running into as you're kind of diving down the rabbit hole of personality study and genetics and research and all that kind of stuff. Some people we're finding are really starting to see how bad their addiction to their saviors are. A lot of people still, it's kind of a process to go through where you still think the problems in your life are real. You think really it is the government or them or your mom or whatever it is.
Right.
But then as you kind of get through this, you start to realize, wow, this is everything in my life is just a reaction to my saviors and my demons. And so we're meeting quite a few people that are getting to that point to where they're really starting to see it, you know?
Yeah.
So ourselves going down the same kind of existential crisis of going, wow, my life is very much a meme. What do I now do about it, you know? So we've kind of stumbled across Jim Carrey's message where he's just kind of like left the planet literally in the sense of like nothing matters. We're just space dust. We're just energy. You're creating this avatar. You're creating this view of yourself. Now, he's not using like functions and savior talk, but it's pretty much overlapping the same kind
It's
of
just like
thing.
Zen, just very much Zen.
Yeah. And so your problems and your issues aren't really real because you're not really real. You're just a wave in the ocean. You're just space dust
An
collected
idea,
together. Yeah. So it's very powerful. If you were to search Jim Carrey's motivation on YouTube or what, there's quite a few videos. It's like you can intellectually get that. They're like, wait, wow, yeah, I am just a collection of molecules that's here one day and gone the next. But it's really these genetic or evolutionary forces, very much like the Matrix. Like they are running us. So like you're sitting here, you're watching this video right now. You're like, okay, yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Right? I see what you guys have been saying the past year. Anyways, I got to go to my friend's barbecue, and then it just
delete.
It deletes.
Yeah.
You then run through all the programs, and you don't even realize that you're doing them. You're feeling jealous when Sally comes over. You're feeling upset at this. So all of these programs start to run the show.
Right.
And you can't catch any of them because they're so goddamn real.
It's real.
Yeah. And so really diving down this has been hard for us because it feels like the default programs don't want you to see it, which makes sense in the Donald Hoffman perspective that we as humans are not geared towards reality. We are geared towards fitness payoffs, meaning evolution does not want you to see all of reality because you'd just be sitting around watching YouTube videos and not doing anything.
And then you wouldn't survive.
And you wouldn't survive.
Yeah, you're not going to push for self-survival.
Yeah, so it just like the squirrels and all the other dumb animals, it wants you relatively blind and dumb, so you're just busy collecting acorns. You're just busy trying to survive, get the mate, reproduce, and get the hell out of here. So our work is just a micro-detailed zoom-in on the specifics of your particular delusion. But it's the same thing that everybody's been saying for thousands of years. Same thing that Donald Hoffman's saying is that you are not seeing all of reality. You're not designed to see all of reality. You're designed for these fitness payoffs, for competition, get the spouse, reproduce, get the hell out of here.
Then
just what is your exact type of delusion is where we come in, but it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, so this is off the internet. They already have a thing for it. It's called ego versus soul. So there's your keywords. There's your SE words to
go
consume.
Google,
Google search that. Ego versus soul. Now here's the problem. It's a bunch of just hippies and weirdos and astro projection nut jobs.
Because the NFs are going to find shit first.
And
in this realm.
Yeah, and then they fuck it off because they're so goddamn crazy and
course.
non-grounded. They've stumbled onto the answers, but like no one's believing them or listening to them because they're like, this sounds like crazy shit. Like even reading the comments in Jim Carrey's videos, like this guy's nuts. He's left the planet. Or like people will have that initial reaction. That's what mine was when I first heard his video.
Yeah, I think people when they first heard him start talking like that, they're like, okay, he's definitely losing his mind. I do feel like people are coming around nowadays and hearing his message.
And the views show it, like 8 million views.
I know, right.
Yeah. So anyways, long lost hippie land, ego versus soul. It's very biblical as well. Let me read a few of these. The ego minded. So again, think of these as the default programs. They're there to just get you to shove everybody else out of the way. Think of Monkey Mountain. And to just get to the top. If you were in a lab designing a species to take over the planet, you would design them with programs like this to win at scale. Not the individual. So anyways, you're thinking about me, anger, blame, coldness, pride, jealousy, doing, egotism, stuck, madness, resentment, hostility, denial, victim.
Self-importance. That's a good one. So explain soul, because I don't understand the binary here for ego
soul
or soul.
Seems to be very spiritual. Like it seems to be you're stepping out of the default programs. So like spiritual teachers, Zen, Christianity, this is what they've been teaching for thousands of years. That it's talking about love, big on love versus fear, humility, friendliness, we are importance, forgiveness, gratefulness. That's a huge one. We keep hearing all of the
gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah. Even West talks about that. He's like, this is the one answer, gratitude. You're
yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting.
Humility. That's a really big one. I feel like, so yeah, ego. I would say ego versus humility. Like, because so much of what the self-survival is like you would have to subjectively believe every program inside your mind that thinks, no, I have the best way. Like, my way of doing things is the most caring.
Right.
It's the most awesomest. You don't even know. Like, and I think that's why we kind of go against like subjectivism, like objective versus subjective. It's the subjective perspective that believes self, me, my right. own ideas, my own way of thinking, my own beliefs, my own vision of how the world should be, this utopia that I've created in my own mind. That's where all of the answers really are, and all of our brains are doing this. And if we just all did it my way, then we would make it. And you guys just need to listen to me. And we're all programmed that way. And it's so fascinating because, of course, that will then fight another person's beliefs. And then as soon as you feel threatened because that person is getting it, like, we don't even realize we're playing some kind of a game. This is what we watched very early on in all the chimp documentaries. We were watching monkeys doing the same things.
Yeah.
And we were just like, okay, wait, what the hell is going on? I remember the first time I saw a chimp documentary, even the guy that was explaining it, the scientist that was explaining it, he was like, so they do this thing where they alliance together and they really just do that because they're trying to get to the top, and each one will fight each other as soon as they have an opportunity to go to the top. And if somebody's climbing too fast, they will gang up together and kill. I'm like, oh my God, that's humans.
With like zero reflection that he himself is also doing that in his little world as well. That was weird. Like, don't you see that we are awesome?
Yeah, and like the fascinating thing was that I was like, I instantly thought of like, oh, the TV show Survivor. I'm like, that's exactly, like, it was like word for word exactly what happens in that reality TV.
It's happening at the water cooler tomorrow.
It happens in prison, and it happens. So like when you remove all of the social construct of bullshit and shallow talk and no, we're really not going that far, we're really not killing each other off, it's like, that's only because it's happening subtly underneath the surface. But if you were to be put into a survival situation, how fast the fighting against others happens. And that's just for self-survival.
Yeah.
Self-survival. If your survival isn't immediately threatened, you're not going to see it as good.
Yeah. Just real quick on that. Like, evolution has to do it that way because it's like you want healthy competition. Like, if you're doing business or fighter jets or cars or whatever, you have to have a healthy community where you are fighting and let the strongest one win.
Right. Like, survival of the fittest.
That's how the mechanism of refining it over time works. So it's like, it's not that evolution or the evolution matrix or whatever is bad or this evil force. It's like, look, I'm trying to help you. I'm speaking for evolution, making it a thing, making the thing.
I always do that too.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to help you out, on the larger scale of the whole entire species. So this is extremely beneficial for all of the species. Squirrels, monkeys, birds, humans, to have that collective competitiveness. So it's genius for the species. It's done very well, but like. Then when it comes to the individual life, especially if you're past 30 years old, that's where the diminishing return of like this evolution mechanism is like, oh, I got no answer for you, except for please die off. And it's like, but I'm not ready to die off. I'm not ready to die off. I want to live a life of meaning and positivity. And evolution's like, don't look at me.
I know.
I don't have, says evolution, I don't have a default program for that.
Yeah,
if you want to have love and positivity and meaning in your life,
it's an add-on.
Stop looking to your default programs for that answer.
That's really
I need to get motivated.
Yeah.
I need to find a place that makes me happy. I need to find someone that makes me happy. And evolution's like, I got nothing for you.
Right.
I got one more go-round of lies to get you to chase around and stay busy. And like the people, the Zen people, the Jim Carreys that are breaking out of it, they're like, okay, stop relying on my body and my reactions, which, by the way, if you're a young person, it's 99.9% of every single minute of every single day, you're just a meme. We see it all day long.
Oh, yeah.
And we keep our fucking mouth shut of like how much, because you're just insulting people. You're like,
you're doing it again.
Yeah.
You're doing it again.
Why can we type somebody so fast? Because you're just doing it constantly.
Yeah.
You start to separate from that and go, can I have something else? One last point is like, so let's just call it soul for the sake of going along with the hippies on the internet.
With the hippies, yeah.
At 42 years old, I'm not there.
I'm not there yet.
At 25 years old, you're not there.
Right.
So tomorrow when you're like, oh, wow, I really suck and I'm falling back into it, it's like,
that's
of
normal.
Course. Yeah. This is a lifelong destination to start to separate from these default programs that we're starting to see. and then be all right. So now what do I do? Well, you watch a shit ton of Jim Carrey videos and start downloading that new worldview.
The destination.
I'm finding that ultimately the freedom from it is something people are kind of hungry for in a way.
Right.
They're like, I don't want to be me either.
Right.
You know, and I go, well, great, because you never have been. I believe that I had to become a famous, idea and get all the stuff that people dream about and accomplish a bunch of things
you know what
that
this means, don't you?
That look like success in order to give up my attachment to those things. It's been part of the evolution of ego is to spend your first half of your life acquiring and adding, thinking you can add to yourself, and it looks great. I mean, it looks great when you got a cool car and you got good, nice clothes, and and you're and you've done something that people admire, but it can never fulfill you. You can never be happy. You know what I mean? It's not where happiness comes from. And I dealt with depression, a few years ago, and people still think, well, he's going through. You can tell he's depressed. It's not. I have no depression in my life whatsoever. Literally none. I have sadness and joy and elation and satisfaction and gratitude beyond belief. But all of it is weather, and it just spins around the planet. It's not. It doesn't sit on me long enough to kill me. The happy place is realizing that you're everything, and that there's no real you involved in the first place. It's a weird little semantic jump that you make where it sounds like, well, that's totally fucking threatening, man. I can't not be me. I've built this construct, and it's just ideas. Right. They're just ideas, And so the feeling of wholeness is a different feeling than meanness. They're all characters that I played, including Jim Carrey, including Joel Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters. It's like the one thing, like people talk about depression all the time. The difference between depression and sadness is just, from happenstance. Whatever happened or didn't happen for you, or, grief or whatever it is. And depression is your body saying, fuck you, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created in the world. It's too much for me.
Right.
And you should think of the word of depressed as deep rest. Deep rest. Your body needs to be depressed. It needs deep rest from the character that you've been trying to play.